presentations that have been done. I'd like to start by thanking Famous Brands for supporting this initiative that Richard Thomson, who designed the program, set up, and also in his absence to thank Richard for the wonderful design work that he did on the program. He returned to Cape Town this morning and he phoned this morning to find out how things were going, and I think he'll be delighted to hear how it's ended. What I'm going to do is to call on the CEO of Famous Brands, Kevin Hedderwick, to introduce the feedback you're going to get, what's going to happen. Kevin will talk generally about the presentations. There's been a discussion about them in the VIP dining room. Then there'll be feedback to the winners of each classroom, and then the winner overall will be announced, and that group will come forward and represent their presentation. So that's the order that we're going to follow now. So I'd like to call upon Kevin Hedderwick to address you with regard to the presentation.
Conrad, thanks very much for giving us this opportunity, and Richard's not here, but we'll make sure that we convey our thanks to Richard as well. I mean, for us, we call ourselves cafe keepers sitting out there in Midrand, because we say that, you know, our business is looks complicated on the outside, but we're really just about making burgers and delivering pizza. That's what we think we're best at. So, I mean, for us to be asked to participate in this particular program is a hell of a privilege, and I can't tell you the kind of enthusiasm that's generated back at Midrand. So thank you very much for choosing us. We really appreciate it. To all you guys who have participated, thank you very much. You must be all exhausted. To have done what you've done in the short space of time is quite remarkable. And to every one of you, even though there's only going to be one, whatever we want to say, congratulations. We're absolutely thrilled at the kind of feedback you've had. So you all deserve a round of applause. Thank you. We've seen some great concepts, and I mean that. It's been very difficult for us to choose. Nearly a couple of blood noses in the VIP boardroom. And the nice thing is that you've all been well aligned with the brief, and some of the buttons you've hit on spot on with the kind of stuff we talk about all the time. And I'm just going to give you some of the themes that we saw across all the presentations. It was about health, and some of you got that in your presentations. A really nice, strong emphasis on Africa, the use of technology, which is driving consumer behavior, the movement towards convenience. We were quite surprised at how many of you think we should be charging into Africa, because we always say Africa is not for sissies, but you're obviously more braver than we are. And the hell of a nice thing that I like about everything I saw and concur with our colleagues is that there were literally no presentations that said, here's a new burger offering, or here's another pizza offering, or here's another breakfast offering. All of your stuff has been left field, and you've stuck to the brief, so thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Kevin. We saw 9 groups, and I must say it was very, very competitive. The scores ranged quite widely, but it was quite difficult to predict, and there were a couple that struggled for time, so I think their colleagues hammered them quite hard in our particular group. But yeah, our winner came out at 85%. That was my scoring, and Kevin gave them 80, but we actually aligned and we actually managed to get on 80. And I think that certainly this group firstly they got good marks on being a team effort. So they introduced the team well, so from a presentation perspective, they actually ticked the box. So to Maurice and the team, as they were introduced, they were chosen as our winner, Flavor Innovation. So congratulations. If I could just give you just 1 minute, just some headlines. So, I mean, most of you will not have seen the presentation, so but for the syndicate, the 9 syndicates that did, just want to give you some feedback as to why. They presented a concept called M at H, which is meals at home. And I think really just in terms of being innovative, I think that they certainly did some good research. The whole focus on home-cooked meals had a direct correlation to healthy, and in fact they're creating a new definition of healthy. So that was pretty good. The key for us was that there was a digital component in there, and the app being a key driver of that business, as well as the identification of strategic partners that could drive that particular app was very, very nice. So they scored well there. From a compelling business case and strategic rationale, and that they identified and ticked 3 key boxes which we've certainly identified in the industry, being premium, convenience and bespoke. So in other words, the premium consumer ticking convenience for the consumer and a bespoke offering unique to everybody. They did some good work on the geography in terms of identifying how you could scale the option up quite quickly but quite low risk. On the downside, I think they were a little bit starry-eyed on Africa to support Kevin's comment. I think that there's a lot of work to do before you can probably take that kind of concept into Africa. But certainly from a local perspective, it was scalable and easy to roll out. They'd done their numbers. I think that a little bit of work could be done on the numbers, but they had some good understanding of the numbers. Also how we could leverage our back end in terms of the business was very, very good. And I think certainly they had a great value proposition, and they'd identified the downside, which was that we could be expensive to market in terms of launching. But I think that given the business model that we have and the identification of partners, they could de-risk that. So those were some very basic feedbacks, but again, to the team, it was a great team effort, and thank you.
Okay, so we were the full-time MBA students, and we had 4 groups presenting, and I gave feedback while we were there to say well done to each and every one of you. You really did do some fantastic work and some really good thinking that aligns to famous brands and where we want to take the business moving forward. So without any further ado, our winner was Syndicate 4, Accord Consulting. Darren mentioned, I think the scores are really, really close. We see the opportunity for mobile, as I mentioned to you, and getting the brand to the consumer. So the other groups are really, really close. But I think just to give some feedback there, is that there's a market that we've been trying to tap into in terms of this kind of mass middle class consumer, and I think you identified that opportunity really, really well. Their whole proposal was aligned to the purchase of Shisanyama, a brand, but what really excited us from the innovations perspective was the exclusive concept, because we understand that it's not really just about the mass middle consumer, which is LSM 3 to 6, but it is really around your consumer wanting to have a more kind of aspirational brand and a place that they can be seen at. And I think the Shisanyama exclusive really spoke to that from a consumer perspective. You presented exceptionally well, lots of passion, and what I really liked is that you introduced each other. So there was really good teamwork and dynamic there, which was fantastic. You also understood the brand really well in terms of its geographic footprint, because it's always difficult when you acquire a brand, kind of where do you take it further forward and how can we leverage it further. And you understood the backward integration into our business in terms of supply chain, manufacturing and logistics. And you also understood how we could increase the footprint from the basic Shisanyama Express model and then obviously leverage the exclusive model slightly better. So well done. I think it was a very good presentation, very well thought through, and a great understanding of our business.
Good afternoon, everyone. We received nine presentations from our groups, and we were incredibly blown away by the amount of effort that had obviously gone into preparing those presentations. I think they all pretty much met the brief. We had some serious debate amongst the 3 of us as to who the winner in our groups would be. But suffice to say, we settled on a team that produced something that we thought was a little bit different. And we had quite a few that were different, but some that sit nicely within that famous brand's portfolio that we offer. And so we had quite significant debate post the presentations, and we settled on Yakani as the winners in our category. What we really found interesting about that presentation, and it wasn't perfect because there were elements of it that were not clear, and I'll touch on that now. But what we did like about it is it had some alternative distribution channels. So it wasn't just the traditional restaurant, the bricks and mortar, which was one component, but it also had the mobile food, the food trucks that could be deployed, and they were almost like mobile restaurants, and we quite liked the look of that concept. Attached to that was also the technology component in terms of the apps and stuff that would drive that process and drive people towards those restaurants. Financially, payback was within a very good period. Fine dining, perhaps not quite fine dining, but certainly premium food was what we liked about it. It was fusion, so it was bringing together of different cultures, which is a little bit different to what Famous Brands currently has, but also driven by craft. So it was craft beer, craft kitchen, and we quite liked that concept. Dealing in LSMs 8 to 10, we like 8 to 10 because those tend to be recession-proof, particularly in times like we see now, and they addressed ways in which to get at foot traffic through their mobile offering. And then they came up with another very interesting element around the marketing, which was the pop-up stores. And just as a matter of interest, those of you who've been to Rosebank know that Magnum had their store, Ola had their store in Rosebank, and I tell you, you had a queue for hours to get an ice cream at that place, but people somehow went there. So I think there were a lot of interesting elements to it. The downside, very difficult to attach a brand name to this particular offering, and that's the one area one would have to look at. But I think overall, from all the groups, well done. You should be proud of yourselves. And having done an MBA myself, this is only the start where the fun's coming. Eh?
We're now going to Kevin's going to announce the winners. We'll ask the syndicates to come forward. For the winning syndicates from the different groups, they will get a trophy. The people who are in the winning syndicate will get an individual trophy. So I may call upon Kevin to announce the winning syndicate, and then we'll do the prize giving after that.
So, yeah, after a lot of head bashing, lots of debate, it's my privilege and pleasure to announce that the winner is, should we have a commercial break first? The winner is Flavor Innovation Music. We don't shake hands with women, never.
Great, well done. Congratulations. Have the syndicate from the MBA full-time please to come forward. There's a trophy for the whole syndicate. You can pass it around. syndicate from the weekday group, if they'd like to come forward.
You have to come back if only for this.
Thank you very much. Well done. Thank you. Well done.
We now invite the winning syndicate to represent their presentation to everyone so that you can see the presentation. So if you're ready to present Maurice and your syndicate, come forward and present. Thank you.
Well, I'd just like to say a very, very good evening to all the esteemed guests here this evening, and to all my Gibbs business group, at least Wits My name is Maurice, and I'm from Flavor Innovation, and it's my great pleasure to be able to introduce my team. We'll be presenting to you what we passionately believe to be the great next thing for famous brands. The concept is called Meals at Home, which entails home cooking, and meals that are prepared to meet your home dining desires. I'd like to call on Matteo to start the presentation for us.
Good afternoon, everybody. So basically, the rationale behind our concept is that you will put your order on a mobile app, describing how many people you will be catering for, and also precisely at what time would you like your home-cooked meal delivered to your home. Then that order will then go straight to our meals at home kitchen. Maurice, please help me with the slides. All right, and then that order will go straight to our home-cooked meals kitchen, where our qualified specialty chefs will prepare the meal to meet your desired home dining experience. From the kitchen, the meals will then be delivered straight to your home in containers that are specifically designed to preserve the freshness and the quality of your home-cooked meal. Why this concept? So the middle to upper class consumer is here. We are here. The only challenge that we're having is we're very, very pressured for time. So during the week, we actually don't really have time to prepare quality meals. But because we've got very nice, trendy homes, we also have that need to enjoy what we have at home. And then also, we are very, very techno-savvy. So that's why everything starts with the app. I'm going to allow my teammates to expand more on the location and the growth plan.
We basically plan to start off in Midrand, close to home, to the home of famous brands. We're doing this to take advantage of logistics capabilities. We then plan to go over to Crown Mines to service the rest of Johannesburg. Then we jump to Cape Town, and yes, as the CEO has said, our ambition is moving to Africa. Look, it's a two-day project. Guys, listen, that's what we do. Grow at 6 stores per year.
Okay, looking at the preliminary cost, as mentioned by the captains of industry, we need to do some work on it. So, but looking at the cost, the preliminary cost is 3.2 million in terms of investment. Profits, we're looking at about 6 million with a payback of about 7 months, which is exactly in line with the strategy.
recent research shows that only 30% of South African consumers eat out. The meals at home concept allows famous brands to significantly increase their market share without changing consumer behavior. Meals at home is fully aligned to the famous brand strategy. Most notably, a comprehensive database will enable an in-depth analysis of consumer needs, wants, and spending patterns.
I'm standing.
Unmet consumer needs, and our opportunities is that we're going to explore a market that was never explored before. And the threat is that other companies will copy this idea and it will give us direct competition. Also, the challenge here is that this would require a strong marketing strategy.
I'm still standing. Our next slide shows our business model, but for purposes of this presentation, I will only focus on the value proposition. So you may ask, what value does this product add? And our answer is time. Time for the middle class who are pocket rich and time poor. And obviously our second value is convenience. We plan to strategically partner with box office. So the idea is, for every 3 meals that you order with us, we will give you a movie free. And our third value that we looked at is really the health benefit that comes with it. So what we're saying here is another strategic move would be to partner up with Discovery. So basically, for the Discovery card holders, we would then, through the Vitality program, we would then give you points for every healthy meal that you order with us. And obviously, value to shareholders.
In conclusion, this is how we plan to move the needle. We will capture the untapped market. We will also be introducing innovative concepts. You will agree that our new venture is quite unique. From the cost presentation, you saw that this new venture is highly profitable within the next 2 years and has significant growth potential, which is one of the things that famous brands is quite passionate about, growth. Finally, it is easily rolled out into new market locations. Our consumers, famous brand has agreed that this is definitely the next best thing. We are glad that they're as passionate and excited about the new venture as we are. Thank you very much.
Well done to Flavor Innovations. All that is left for me to do is to now thank the judges and to give a little token of our appreciation to the judges. So if I could, I'll just pass these out. Thank you very much. Thank you. Arlene, thank you very much for being here this afternoon. We really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Now we made stationery. Linda, thank you very much for being here. Thanks very much. Norman, thank you very much for being here. Really appreciate it. Victor, thanks very much for being here. We really appreciate you giving up your time. Eugen, thank you very much for being here. Thanks very much, Darren, for being here. And now you start to understand capitalism. A really sincere thank you. It's made this a wonderful event for the start of the MBA. We couldn't have done it without you, and it was a wonderful opportunity to work on something like this. It's not often that we have Spur here that we can actually work with. to make Maurice feel a little better. There are a few more thank yous that I'd just like to make. I'd like to thank Sanelli for her great work with the full-time group. Really appreciate what you've done, Sanelli. And of course to Charisse for the weekday group. A very big And then finally, please remember, if you're a Saturday group, today is Friday. So please join us now for a cocktail party and enjoy yourselves and let the MBA begin. Thank you very much.